It's time for the Stock Car Show on the Performance Motorsports Network. Powered by the staff at Race Chaser Online. Your motorsports, your way, every day. And now, here's your host, Tom Baker.
Hey everyone, welcome to another evening of Motorsports Conversation here on the Stock Car Show. This episode, as always, being brought to you by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsports safety. You can find them on the web at hmsmotorsport.com. And, of course, we also have Telmed Benefits as a partner for us as well. We'll tell you more about Telmed Benefits as we go through the show. Welcome to tonight's show. My name is Tom Baker from Race Chaser Media, joined at the table here inside the Race Chaser Studios by Jacob Seelman. Yeah, I still want to say the round table. We're not using that tonight. Jacob Seelman of Speed Sport is the guy laughing next to me. And over in the tech shed across the way, punching all the right buttons, is Randy Miller. We have Randy live on the Randy Cam, and we also have Cisco Scaramuzza via the Race Chaser Skype line, and he is punching all the right buttons on the video side as well. And then we have Steve Ovens joining us. Steven, good to see Steve back. Good to have Steve back. Steve is back for a couple of reasons. One, we get to talk about Super Dirt Week and what's going on the Northeast dirt circuit as we start to transition toward the World Final here next month in Charlotte. And
where did this year go?
Went by in a hurry. But we also have Steve back because Steve Steve likes to talk NASCAR with us as well.
Yeah.
And Steve is real excited. We're going to let him tell you in a moment why he's so excited. But first, let's start with, by the way, we have Matt Swanson from the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour joining us as well tonight. Matt,
I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Pardon me.
Don't die.
No, just try not to catch a cold here. And every once in a while, if I cough, please ignore it. And forgive me. Matt Swanson going to be joining us a little later on in the show to talk modifieds. We always love that. Okay, Talladega. This was supposed to be a crash fest. Isn't that what they say? A few guys crashed, but it wasn't actually a crash fest. This was about the most tame Talladega race I think I've ever seen, thanks to 4 Stewart-Haas cars that showed up and basically waxed the field.
Hey, can I offer a suggestion for this first segment?
Go ahead.
Can we jump right into checkered flags and black flags here, because I have a few. And I want to debate.
Sure, if
I'm
you like.
fired up. All right.
Well, let's do one at a time. What do you want to do first?
Okay. Let's do checkered flags
Okay,
first.
Checkered flags
All
first.
right.
So we're the good news before the bad news. Give me the good news first.
I'll give you the good news first.
All right, we'll go around the table, too, so everybody get ready.
I actually have 3. 2 of them are kind of tied at the hip, and the third one is just because. The first 2 that are tied at the hip. My first checkered flag, and this is going to be very counterintuitive to all you social media people who are whining about this race. My first checkered flag is to Stewart-Haas Racing. Why? Because they successfully outsmarted Talladega Superspeedway. They did what everybody says should not be possible at this racetrack. They successfully brought in a plan and executed it to 1,000% perfection. I have never seen a team ever in my history be able to accomplish what they did on Sunday. They controlled the tempo, they controlled the field, they controlled everything, and had it not been for a caution coming to 2 to go, they would have finished 1, 2, 3, 4. Period. End of discussion. Second checkered flag, which is joined at the hip specifically and conveniently to Eric Almirola. Finally, the guy wins a race. The Cuban sensation does something.
Yes.
He goes to victory lane. All 4 Stewart-Haas cars have won a race now this season, and Eric Almirola has single-handedly, in 31 races, done 3 times what Danica did in 5 years. Oops, sorry, I went there. Just saying. Third checkered flag, and this is going to tie into what Steve's really happy about later. Jimmy Johnson, man, way to come back from a spin and a crash and a we thought you were done. And he came back and finished 7th. And you know what? I thought that was really cool, quite frankly, because that car, as he referenced on Twitter, was beat all to hell.
Well, you're right. You know, and I can't argue with any of what you just said. I actually didn't see, was there a lot of social media backlash where people like bad-mouthing Stuart Haas or something? As if
people weren't bad-mouthing Stuart Haas per se. Everybody was just whining and complaining it was a terrible race. And maybe from a competition standpoint it was kind of terrible, but in the same vein, Tom, you got to respect the fact that Stuart Haas actually pulled this off. I honestly, as much as I hated how tame the race was, that was a thing of beauty.
Okay, and I agree with that completely. I 100% agree that Stuart Haas went in. I haven't seen anything like that since, I think there were a couple of years when Hendrick pretty much would go in and run. I don't know that all 4 of the cars were ever 1, 2, 3, 4 the entire race like that. I think there may have been a couple of races along the way, but certainly
there's never been a team control the race.
Yeah,
like that.
I don't know that it's ever been done quite that way.
No,
what was
not at all.
interesting, what was interesting to me about this race, and I'm gonna let's give Steve a shot to jump in here. What was interesting to me about this race, and if I'm going to give a checkered flag, I'm giving it to Doug Yates and all of the folks who built the Ford Motors that went out and basically waxed Toyotas and Chevys butts all day long.
All weekend long.
All
really.
weekend long. It wasn't just, I mean, Stuart Haas had all 4 of their cars up front, but it was Ford, and more Ford for the most part
really
in the
was.
top 10 with a couple of exceptions, Steve-O.
Yes.
I mean, I haven't seen anything like this.
By the way, I want to make a point. 350 wins for Roush Yates' engine since you brought up Doug Yates.
Yes, Steve, I haven't seen anything like this in a long time. I mean, the Fords just, even more than usual on a plate track, the Fords just really went out and blew everybody else in the weeds.
They really did, and when you consider even a guy like Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who, for some reason, guys, and I know it's because of Ford Power and his just knack for these restrictor plates races. I mean, all of a sudden we were talking about Ricky Stenhouse Jr. with 5 laps to go. He just appeared out of nowhere. So it really was a dominant performance by Ford. My checkered flag for the Talladega race Sunday, maybe not even anything having to do with the race. I'm going to give it to Ross Weiss for coming up with probably the best meme or photo generated from that victory out of anybody yesterday. NASCAR 2006 total team control with all 4 Stuart Haas drivers. I thought that was fantastic.
Here's looking at you, Ross. That was fantastic.
Yeah, very, very much so.
And then my black flag, guys, just to follow that up, my black flag is got to be shared between Ryan Blaney and Bowman in the 88 machine, because I felt like both of those drivers had opportunities to get that second pack back to the leaders, and they both failed in the process. So I'm going to share the black flag.
Yeah,
with those
I think
guys.
Blaney much more so than Bowman on that one, but I don't disagree with that. Okay, Cisco next, and then we'll get Randy in if he'd like to take a shot at it. Checkered flag, Cisco.
My checkered flag has to go the guy who finished 10th, because what a job by Levine Family Racing and Regan Smith to go out and start 25th at Talladega, keep the car out of trouble all day. And we mentioned, like, this wasn't a wrecked-filled race, so, you know, for them it was just an easy kind of cruise day in kind of a weird sense. But nonetheless, great job by Regan Smith, and also because they're right there next to him, Mark Beard, the whole group for the 62 car. Brendan Gaughan finished 12th. How about that?
He did.
Yeah, for sure. He did a great job. Okay, Randy, next. Checkered flag.
You guys pretty much covered just about everything, but I will say I will give a checkered flag to Eric Almirola, because I'm glad that the final Stuart Haas team guys actually end up with a victory. But at the same token, I'm going to black flag all 4 of them because they made the race so boring.
Well, they stuck up the show, that's for sure. Chris Murdoch in our chat, another member of our staff. And Chris saying the Matt Benedetto. Let me try this again. Matt DiBenedetto was
Matt
up
DiBurrito.
there. Yeah, Matt DiBurrito. It's easier to say. Was up there too until the final wreck. Yeah, for sure. Matt was doing a nice job, and Matt will be joining the LFR cast for next year in the 95, which will now be a Toyota. One other quick comment, Zach Brunner, hi from Talladega. Good to see you, Zach. Thanks to everybody who's joined us here. We got a good chat going. And Brian Donati asking the question, so does NASCAR look to make changes in the future since the Ford dominated like they do in IMSA?
Nah.
I'm not going to answer that just yet. I'm going to instead defer that to the start of the next segment. We'll go to the go back to checkered flag, black flag. My black flag, since I didn't give that yet, I could go a lot of different ways, I feel like, with this, but the only thing I'm going to do, I'm going to kind of take the easy way out here, and I'm going to say my black flag goes to Kyle Larson and the entire Chip Ganassi 42 team.
But he finished top 10.
He did, but, I mean, good grief.
Or 11.
He was barely in the race, and this is not what you'd expect. But
both he and McMurray blew tires, by the way.
Yeah, I know. It's just, and I also honestly was quite disappointed with the performance of the 78 car. I know they had a locker issue, and Martin Truex gets a checkered flag for even making it to the end with that thing.
Yeah.
But guys, it's Talladega, and you need the points here.
Well, I think, listen, the fact that he was below the cut line for most of the day and ended up 18 points to the good leaving Talladega is a pretty big deal.
Because of what we had at the end of the race.
So that still counts.
Right, but definitely not a good day for that team.
You can't control mechanical failures. Do I get to give my black flag now?
Yeah, you can give your black flag real quick, and then we'll take a break, and then we'll come back and talk about maybe we should change or not change because Ford's kicked everybody's butt.
Okay. Here's my black flag.
Go ahead. It's
for more of a concept and not necessarily. So, hey, Cisco, I'm taking over for you giving black flags to inanimate objects. You're welcome.
What are you black flagging?
My black flag goes to team strategy because as much of a thing of beauty as what Stuart Haas pulled off was, I hate it. It sucks. And I wish we could erase it from everybody's memory. I don't like that teams can do that, and it's necessary. It sucks all the fun out of it. What happened to every man for themselves in the draft? Why can't we get back to that and actually have people racing for longer than about 2 laps at the finish?
Teams are going to stick together. It's the way we've restrictor plate raced for years.
Then you know what? Maybe that's good that we're going to a tapered spacer and hopefully changing the racing up a little bit.
I hope it does. I'm not sure it will, but I hope it does.
I hope it does too.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, 2 things to ponder while we're away. Number 1, should we be changing much because Ford kicked everybody's butt? Second question is, should we have thrown a caution flag on the last lap? Both of those we'll debate on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Stock Car Show presented by HMS Motorsport. We'll be right back.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the Track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the Track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ball in street? Girl in street!
It's hard to concentrate on 2 things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Here's an important message from RAD and this station. Hi, this is Bob Sheehan from Blues Traveler for RAD, Recording Artists Against Drunk Driving. I like to party just as much as the next guy, maybe even more. But the one thing I won't do after I've had a few is get in the car and drive. Don't blow it. Always choose a designated driver. Remember, music lives, and so should you.
Automotive technicians and auto service trainees, how would you like to work at the beach and perform for one of the best car care centers in the nation? Lewis Meineke is now looking for skilled automotive technicians to join their award-winning team. If you're a gearhead that knows his or her stuff, or a young up-and-comer that has the motivation and drive to succeed, then you need to make this call today. 302-827-2054. Lewis Meineke Car Care Center, located in beautiful Lewis, Delaware, offers a highly competitive compensation plan, great benefits, a flexible schedule, and did we mention that you're going to be working at the beach? Plus, there's a signing bonus for the right candidates. Technicians must be ASE certified and have a minimum of 6 years experience. Beginners advance at your own pace in one of several entry-level positions. But whatever you do, don't wait. These jobs will go fast. Call Tim at 302-827-2054. That's 302-827-2054. Lewis Meineke Car Care Center. Rev up your career.
Hi, I'm Tyler Reddick, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Show presented by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsport safety. You can find them on the web at hmsmotorsport.com, and you should anytime you need any type of driver safety gear, radios, any of that stuff. Make sure that you check out HMS Motorsport first and tell them all of us at Race Chaser sent you over there. Okay, we continue with our debate now. We're talking NASCAR. We're rehashing Talladega. 2 points, one at a time here. First of all, somebody mentioned in the first segment, should NASCAR make changes after SHR's team dominance? My response to that is, what change do you make? What do you do? Tell the Fords they got to stay home next year? Do you give them, do you choke them more than you do the other brands? I mean, so what do you do?
As much as I just black flagged the whole team strategy thing in the last segment, I black flagged it because I don't like it, but there's nothing you can do about it. You can't outlaw teams from having a strategy and actually using it.
Well, yeah, but I don't think this is so much about the strategy. I think this is just because the Fords in general just dominated the event. The horsepower, all of it was just way better.
Well, Doug Yates, you know
what? Do you do?
As far as I'm concerned, that's an effort thing. And
I agree.
And Doug Yates and all the people at Roush Yates Engines put so much emphasis on their Speedway motor program every year. They push every rule when it comes to their Speedway programs to the max, and they have figured out exactly how far they can go without overstepping a tolerance or anything like that. And
or breaking the motors.
And as far as I'm concerned, more power to them.
I agree.
And Doug Yates said it in Victory Lane after that race on Sunday, that his dad loved these speedway races and loved winning those speedway races as much as anything on the schedule. That's why they put so much work into what they do with those races. And as far as I'm concerned, extra effort is nothing you can change. There is nothing you can do to stop them from doing that. It's just a philosophy. The Fords have a philosophy that these races matter to us as much or more as any of the other races on the calendar. There's nothing you can't stop that.
No.
It's not a bad
any more than you could stop the 47 team, for example, from putting all their effort into the road courses because AJ was a great road course racer.
Exactly.
You know, it
is what it is. You can't make a rules change or anything like that because they're playing within the rules. All
Here's what blew my mind was, the Fords dominated, but if I were a conspiracy theorist, I would have tripled the size of my tin hat over the weekend. Here's why. Look at qualifying. All 4 Stewart-Haas cars were together. All 3 Penske cars were together. All 4 Hendrick cars were together. All 4 JGR cars were together. And at least 2 of the 3, and I count Ty Dillon as a quasi-RCR car, at least 2 of those 3 were together in the order, too. I forgot which one wasn't. It might have been Ty. But this was crazy. I've never seen a situation where.
Remember, qualifying is about pure speed, and all these teams build their speedway cars very, very similar to one another.
Yeah,
so
but it's just amazing. What are the chances that they would all end up in groups without a car from another team breaking up the group?
A lot more. I think a lot more of a chance than at some of these other tracks. Again, because the speed differential is so similar between all these speedway cars. It's very tight.
It's nuts. It was really interesting to watch, actually. Okay, those of you in our chat, feel free to respond to anything we're saying here, and we'll keep trying to sort of engage with you as we go forward to the show, through the show. So question 2, the other point we want to make in this segment and debate, should NASCAR have thrown the caution flag on the final lap when the crash occurred there with in turns 1 and 2? And I'm actually going to – I know where Jacob's going, so I'm going to actually go to Steve first. I think I know where he's going too, but Steve, what do you say? Should we have thrown the caution or not?
I honestly, I didn't see any reason to. I really didn't. I think it was a good no call, and my immediate reaction from that was, NASCAR after getting torched for potentially – throwing the caution too soon in the truck race, I think NASCAR's focus needs to be every single week from here on forward through the end of this season, we need to do more good than we do bad or potentially bad. And for me, not throwing the caution and letting that race play out the way it did was doing more good than it was potentially bad.
Okay. What do you define as good versus bad there? Because, for example, I look at, okay, if somebody hits the wall hard, we obviously want to think about safety. So how do you define good versus bad in a scenario where, you want to get the rescue team to those drivers, that driver or those drivers as quickly as possible? What's good about holding that process up just so we can finish a race?
Well, I think we need to be realistic about how much time we're talking about here, because in the time that it took them to finish that race, we're really not delaying, any kind of emergency care. I mean, we're talking about the matter of 30 to 40 seconds, maybe 45 seconds. I mean, if we were talking minutes, extended periods of time, I could understand that. Okay. But this would be where I would kind of bring my clinical judgment as a registered nurse and a former paramedic.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
I don't think that amount of time that we're talking about is necessarily the difference between life or death. I mean, I know there's some people that will, really put me over the coals for saying that. But, we're not talking about minutes. We're talking about, 25 to 30 seconds. I don't see that as a huge deal.
Here's my response to that. Then I'm going to go to Cisco and then Randy, and then we'll come back to Jacob. My response to that would be that I agree as long as you know that no drivers are injured to any real degree. Here's what I look at. I've been a spotter, so I understand that by the time NASCAR communicates with the head spotter who's overlooking the other spotters, gets the information about whether the drivers are hurt or not, etc., you basically pretty much, erase the time that, and so when I look at this, to avoid any confusion, I think you have to err on the side of consistency and throw the caution. That we get too caught up in this mentality of the white flag ends the race. It shouldn't if there's a crash, because it takes time to do all of that communication, check and see if anybody's hurt, and you're making a human judgment on whether that time difference is necessary or not. So Josh Philpott saying in the chat, and Josh is a former racer too, to be fair, with the caution being thrown in the truck race, he thinks it should be even across the series, probably been thrown. I would agree. Cisco, do you agree or disagree with me or Steve?
It's a hard call for me, because this is a case once again where NASCAR has their own, kind of ways to tell how the situations are going. I mean, as Chris said in our chat, they have the ability to talk to the teams on the radios. They have the ability to find out from them what's going on. And like you said, that does take time.
It does.
But was the situation in 1 and 2 serious enough to where I thought that was going to pose a threat to the cars coming back around on the racetrack? No, I don't think so. I don't think the wreck was serious enough that they would have had to stop everything and go. And obviously they didn't stop the race, go send the safety crews out, because of course they have to make sure everybody's okay in that scenario. Right. And I think the way NASCAR does this, I know there's a way that they decide what's good and what's not good, or when they have to stop the race or whatever it is. I just, I'm not in that role. I don't make that decision. So there probably is some sort of criteria they have to fill out before they say, all right, we're going to throw the yellow flag or something like that,
that's
especially in these late race scenarios.
That's what concerns me is we're now putting ourselves back at a point where we're making a different judgment in every situation instead of one blanket rule that could cover them. I don't think we always have to listen to the fans. I think having a rule that says caution is caution, that's it. We're not going to question it. We're just going to do it. We're going to restart them and do it again is necessarily a bad thing. Randy, do you agree with me or not?
I actually can see both sides of both yours and Steve's point as well.
Sure.
Because being a former racer, if I was in that situation where I was involved in a wreck, even if I knew I was okay, I'd still want the rescue people to come and check on me just to make sure I was okay, because what happens if I'm not?
Right. Exactly.
But to your point about, or to Steve's point about how, the amount of time it takes, once the cars have already passed, I mean, they're coming around to the checkered flag. I'm pretty sure, I'm sure there are weird coincidences where, accidents can happen after the checkered flag, but once the cars have passed, I think it'd be okay for the rescue workers to go out and just at least check on the guys that are, closest to the wall, maybe, not go out on the racetrack, obviously. But
well, that's the press. Yeah, you make the situation way more complicated. Okay, Jacob, very quickly, then we got to go to break.
No, my answer needs time. Go ahead and take the break and give me my space after the break.
Okay, Jacob's going to quote Steve O'Donnell's book here. So we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll give Jacob a chance to quote Steve. And we'll have much more. Of course, we got Matt Swanson coming up here in a bit. Looking forward to talking to him about modified racing, and we got some late model stuff to talk about as well. So stay with us. Much more of the Stock Car Show still to come, presented by HMS Motorsport and Telmed Benefits. We'll be right back.
Do you love the sound of high-revving motors and the smell of burning rubber? Do you want to get your car sideways right at the ragged edge of control? If you've always wanted to try drifting or learn to improve your drifting skills, Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier motorsports facility, has the expert instructors and the specialized track to teach you how to drift and the skills necessary to drift competitively. From skid pad to open sessions, Summit Point Motorsports Park has the safe and open environment that allows drifters of all skill levels, new to intermediate, to get sideways and smoking. With a focus on safety and the skill set necessary to drift competitively, Summit Point Motorsports Park's Drift Nirvana is just the thing for you. Call for your reservation today, 304-725-8444. Or for more information, go online, summitpoint-raceway.com, or you can email them at office@bsrinc.com. Drift Nirvana, getting you sideways the right way.
HMS Motorsport is the leader in motorsport safety. HMS serves a majority of Monster Energy NASCAR Cup, Xfinity, Camping World Truck, IndyCar, and IMSA WeatherTech teams, as well as countless SCCA and club-level racers and driving enthusiasts throughout North America. Featuring world-renowned brands like Schuberth helmets, Schroep belts, Adidas suits and shoes, Lifeline fire systems, and even Racecom radio kits, HMS has the right product for your type of racing and your budget. Their representatives are experts on only one thing, making your track driving as safe as possible. With locations in Mooresville, North Carolina, and Danvers, Massachusetts, the HMS staff is always ready to take the time to help you find the right product for your safety needs. Don't settle for second when it comes to motorsport safety. Stop in to HMS Motorsport. Visit them on their website at hmsmotorsport.com or send them a message on Facebook and tell them the folks from PMN Radio sent you.
What an awesome game. What's up with your car?
I don't know. It won't start.
How are we getting home?
Chill. My parents signed me up for the roadside assistance from Lewis Meineke. It was free with my oil change. They'd come and get the car started or get us home and tow the car to the shop.
Good to know. With my driving, my parents never know what to expect.
When you join the Meineke Car Care Club with a $35 preferred service, you get 4 free months of roadside assistance, including tire change, battery jump, lockout service, towing, and more. Contact Lewis Meineke, located on Route 1, or call 827-2054.
When do you think of a plumber? Like most people, even if it's an emergency, you can be confident about who will arrive to help you. For quality and reliability, count on someone you can trust. Call on the plumbing services of Hague Quality Water of Maryland. Plumbing doesn't have to be an emergency. We handle all kinds of preventative maintenance too. Hague Quality Water of Maryland is family owned here in Annapolis since 1993. For a refreshing choice, call us at 888-84-WATER or visit us online.
COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, is a lung disease that robs people of their ability to breathe. As many as 24 million Americans suffer from COPD, also known as chronic bronchitis or emphysema, and half of them don't know they have the disease. If you or someone you love is over 35 and has smoked more than 100 cigarettes in their lifetime, visit driveforcopd.org and take the screener, then take that to your doctor. I'm Jeff Stoltz, and I drive for COPD.
Hi, I'm John Holloman, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network. Now back to the show.
John, or J4 as I like to call him, John Holloman, bringing us back from break, one of our local drivers from the stadium, Bowman Gray Stadium up north of us here. Welcome back to the Stock Car Show, presented by HMS Motorsport. We'll tell you about our other partner, TailMed Benefits, a little bit later on. You can go to the website and check it out while you're waiting. TailMed, T-E-L-Med, TailMedBenefits.com. And we'll tell you about what's going on with that later. Talking NASCAR right now, and we've been debating whether or not a caution should have been thrown at the end of that Cup race yesterday. And Jacob is going to talk about Steve O'Donnell's response and tell us why a caution shouldn't have been thrown.
All right, guys. Here we go. My 2 cents point blank is anyone who thinks there should have been a caution on the last lap of that Cup race Sunday, you are wrong. Period. End of discussion. Point number 1, truck race versus Cup race, 2 different scenarios. In the truck race, the leader of the race, who was in front of everybody, is the one who got wrecked and went spinning into the pack. You have trucks barreling at him at about 195 miles an hour. Caution must be thrown in that case to give the trucks at the back of the pack a chance to actually slow down and avoid it. Number 2, the wreck in the Cup race on Sunday, not only was it at the back of the pack, most of the field had already gotten through turn 1 when all of that happened, and DiBenedetto and Chase Elliott, et cetera, et al. were involved.
Who's et al?
It's an old saying.
Okay.
Anyway, back of the pack wreck. Most of the field had already gotten through that. Point B to that, not only did Matt DiBenedetto drive away under his own power, but where Chase Elliott stopped in the grass, well off of the racing line, was right in front of a safety and medical vehicle. He immediately dropped his window net and was communicating with safety workers that he was 100% fine. Safety workers could get to his race car without the need for a yellow because it was way away from the rest of the racing surface, and they had everything under control. If there had been a need to dispatch safety vehicles to get to Elliott's car or anybody else's car, there would have been a need for an immediate yellow, and I have every faith that that yellow would have come out at that point. The fact of the matter is, there wasn't a need to scramble the safety vehicles, and the right call was to let them race back. And that's exactly what happened. Nobody's life was at risk here. Chase Elliott and Matt DiBenedetto even both said that they felt afterwards it was the right call to let it race out.
Well, fair enough. So I guess the new rule is if the wreck happens in turn 1 and all the cars are off the track surface and the safety vehicles can get to them easily enough,
it's not about
then we don't throw the caution.
It's not about a 1, 2, 3.
Here's the problem.
It's about if there's no safety risk, and there wasn't.
The problem is, again, it's a human call, and when you don't have a uniform way of doing something, i.e., the ARCA rule, which has worked for decades and makes sense every time it's tried, you open yourself up to human judgment. When you do that, you open yourself up to human error. In this case, you're playing with driver safety. I might agree that in this case, hindsight being 2020, it was okay that we didn't throw the caution. However, you start down a slippery slope when you ask people to make judgments on the spot in seconds on the last lap of a race as to whether or not a driver is okay. In this instance, I will agree, based on where everything was and how it happened, that it probably was fine. I just don't want to see this become the norm, that NASCAR makes these judgments because it takes too long and too much information at times. If there is even a question mark, you throw the caution.
Well, and
period.
That's why we have a rule that when a car comes to a stop, the driver is immediately supposed to drop the window net to allow people to know they're okay.
Wait. That's my problem. You drop the window net. That doesn't mean you don't have a broken leg. You don't have a broken foot. You don't have a broken arm. You don't have a 2 or 3 broken ribs. It just means I'm not dead. It means I'm alive. It means I can move. I can communicate. Doesn't mean the driver's okay. So that is not a good way to judge whether a caution should come out.
But guys, a broken arm, a broken leg, a broken ankle is not going to be fixed in the matter of 30 to 45 seconds.
I didn't say it was, Steve, but I have a real issue if you're telling me that guy's got to wait, because here's what you run into. What if in the span of time that it takes to finish that race, you have another big pileup, and you have 2 or 3 drivers take a wild ride? Now what do you do? The problem we have here...
You've never had 20-car pileups at Talladega before?
But this is my point, though. Meanwhile, that guy's still sitting over there with broken bones. And as somebody in our chat points out, I think it must have been Cisco, Kyle Busch dropped the window net, and he was plenty hurt. I wouldn't have wanted to have kept Kyle moving for Kyle in that situation for one more second than I had to. This is why I don't understand that we're even debating this. At the end of the day, the race is less important than driver safety, at least in my book. So there's only one way that you do this, and that is the uniform rule. If we wreck, we throw the caution, period. And we line them up and do it again. I don't understand why we keep debating this. This is not about whether somebody was ahead of somebody at a certain point of the scoring loop. It's not about a tire hanging over the pit box an inch. You're calling it an uncontrolled tire. This is driver safety. This time was probably fine. Not always going to be that way. That's why I don't like human judgment. The more we take out of NASCAR's hands to make human judgments, the better it is. And remember, what happens when NASCAR gets it wrong? Everybody yells at them. So now what do? They basically, it's kind of like cops standing down at a riot. They don't want to make arrests because everybody then jumps on them for making arrests. So they stand there and watch the riot. It's kind of the same deal. NASCAR needs to have a rule that can be enforced 100% of the time. And I just don't see why we're spending so much time talking or debating whether or not we throw a caution when somebody hits the wall. Simple spin, no worries. Off the track, no contact, no nothing. But here's the deal. How long before a driver drops a window net? There have been drivers in the past who have hit the wall because they've had a heart attack or had some sort of a medical issue. Okay, it only takes 30 seconds to finish the race. Well, guess what? That driver's in serious trouble. You know, I don't I'm uncomfortable with this whole concept that we make snap judgments on whether a driver's not hurt or is okay. That's all I'm going to say about it, and we'll leave it there. We're not changing anyone's mind anyway, but I think we keep debating that NASCAR is not consistent. This is one thing that they need to get consistent on, and there's only one way to do that. Throw the yellow every single time.
I love how you're complaining when you're the biggest advocate for not having yellow flag finishes, and we actually finished under green.
Hey, I didn't say you have a yellow flag finish. That is a whole different issue. I said ARCA rule. What about the ARCA rule involves a yellow flag finish?
We're never going to have
that. But didn't we also blast the ARCA series for that 4 overtime race that they had?
I applauded the ARCA series for that 4 overtime race because that's what you're supposed to do. What I blasted were the drivers who can't finish a doggone lap.
Do we expect that would have been a different outcome with the Cup Series? Because I can tell you in the playoffs it wouldn't have been.
I'm just saying you go as many restarts as you have to get that lap in, period. It doesn't matter, and you don't worry about, okay, well, Kurt Busch ran out of fuel because we had to do another restart. That's not NASCAR's problem. That's the team's problem because they try to play this down to the nth degree of a gallon of fuel. I will never not support driver safety first, period. And anybody who does, as far as I'm concerned, is not a racing fan, because that should be paramount for everybody. The safety of the drivers, the officials, and everybody else at the track comes first. If we throw a caution we shouldn't have thrown or didn't need to throw, oh well. Don't compromise safety.
I'm not going to have my racing fandom be questioned because I wanted to see a green flag finish.
You would have had one. It would have just taken a restart.
I think we have to keep the bigger picture in mind, though, in that that time we are not making a medical difference by 30 to 40 seconds.
Again, what if we crashed? It's more than 30 to 40 seconds then. See, this is the point you're all missing here. Is in this particular instance, yes, it probably worked out all right because Chase was fine. But I don't care how much it doesn't matter to the seriousness of the injury. The driver's still in there, and he could be in there with broken bones or whatever, or concussion. I don't want to see a driver in that situation for 5 seconds longer than they have to be. I mean, I'm sorry, but I put driver safety above everything. And I'm also probably the only one on this panel who's actually been a race director for any amount of time. And I can tell you that the way that you be most consistent is to have one rule that goes across the board. All of this human judgment makes for too much inconsistency. So that's why I say what I say. Throw the caution, line them up, and do it again. And then that way you get your green flag finish, and we're able to move on, and you get to the driver when you should and all of that. We got lucky this time. I wouldn't want to see this become a uniform rule. With that, we step aside. When we come back, we will talk more. NASCAR, we got modifieds coming up. We got some late model stuff as well.
By the way, we haven't even made Steve really happy yet. We need to have that conversation.
I know. It's coming, and we'll get to that. We'll be back with more of the Stock Car Show presented by HMS Motorsport right after this.
Everywhere you go, you hear it, and you see it. It's coming at you through your phone, your tablet, and your computer. It's broadcast from your favorite radio station, TV networks, and cable companies. It's in the stadiums, the arenas, the ballparks. It screams for your attention at the mall. It's interactive on Main Street. It's even coming at you from the gas pump at the nearby convenience store. What is it? It's digital content. It's digital content. It's digital content. Somebody has to create it. Somebody has to manage it. So whether your dream is to write it, design it, create it, call it, produce it, voice it, host it, light it, shoot it, switch it, record it, color correct it, it, edit it, code it, repurpose it, tweet it, blog it, post it, compress it, upload it, replay it, or make sure it gets to where it's got to go when it's got to get there in the format it's got to be in, you need to attend Carolina School of Broadcasting. The skills you will learn, the experience you will get, and the connections you will make at Carolina School of Broadcasting will open the doors to the career you want in digital content creation and digital content management. Call or come by today. Click csbradiotv.edu.
Parents, your son or daughter has had their license for a while now, but you want to make sure they're prepared for any situation they may face on the road. High school driver's ed doesn't teach them to drive defensively. They need to be prepared for any highway emergency. For less than a month's insurance, and a whole lot less, BSR instructors at Summit Point Motorsports Park in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, will teach your son or daughter how to respond instantly and positively to unexpected situations on the road. BSR's specialized accident avoidance training teaches swerve to avoid maneuvers at highway speeds, ocular driving, which focuses driving attention on ways to avoid accidents, vehicle dynamics and feedback, skid control and skid recovery, threshold braking on straights and progressive braking on curves, and off-road recovery techniques. This is stuff driver's ed simply doesn't teach. So call BSR today, 304-725-8444. Give your kid the skill set needed to drive safely and responsibly on the highway. That's 304-725-8444.
This is a test to find out if you know it all when it comes to children. Name one of the leading killers of U.S. children age 1 to 13. What's the best way to protect children in a car crash? At what age and size should a child start using a booster seat?
Don't assume you know it all when it comes to car seats for your child. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat and know for sure. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Tyler Dipple, and you're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network. Now back to the show.
I'm letting you dipple this time.
Yeah, we turned Tyler Dipple into a verb. Hashtag dippling is the official hashtag for that particular reentry. Welcome back to the Stock Car Show, presented by HMS Motorsport. We're having some fun here, and
shucks, I thought we weren't having fun.
We always have fun. We've been talking NASCAR, debating all kinds of good stuff. Okay, so we've got Steve Ovens back tonight, and in honor of Steve being back, and we will talk about dirt in the second hour of the program. But we have Steve back for another reason. Back toward the beginning of the season, Steve was the very first of our panel here to actually call the 48 team a dumpster fire. And Steve called for the firing of basically everybody, including the janitor, the guy who sweeps the floors. Well, this past week, as everyone now knows, unless you've been living under a rock all week, there was a divorce at Hendrick Motorsports. For 2019, Chad Knaus will not be working with Jimmy Johnson. He will be working with William Byron on the 24 car.
They gasp.
Kevin Mendering comes to the 48 team to work with Johnson. First time that this pairing has ever been broke up in 17 years. 7 championships later, the marriage is over, even though they'll still be cooperating, I'm sure, next season. So, Steve, do we get to keep the janitor now, or does he still have to go?
Crickets.
I guess Steve is still pondering that, so I'll give you a shot at this, Jacob.
Oh,
there he
we
is.
Go. I'm sorry, boys.
He was in parentheses.
Wait for it.
That was easy.
That was the sound coming from Rick Hendrick's office last week when they finally decided, guess what, guys? This isn't working. So now John, that's sweeping the floors, he can keep his job. Julie in the merchandise store, she gets to keep her job. Chad and Jimmy, all right, boys, we've had enough of mediocre performance. Oof. It's time to try something different. And I think mediocre performance is giving it more credit than it was due.
I was going to say, don't we agree that sometimes change is a good thing?
It is. And that's the thing. I think that these guys, yes, they've had so much success, but something is not clicking like it used to. And I don't know if it's the fact that once they achieve, I'm not going to say that either of them don't have the desire, because I don't believe that for a minute. But, sometimes these things just happen.
Yeah.
And a change needed to happen, Tom. And I think that they've made the right change. I think that, and I'm going to be completely honest with you, Tom, I believe that the driver who comes out the better in this deal, and this is nothing against meandering that's coming over to Jimmy Johnson's 48 machine, I think William Byron got the better out of this deal out of the two drivers, because William Byron is at a place right now where he is going, everybody talks about the fact that the young man is a sponge. Well, guess what? He's going to have one of the best crew chiefs of the last 2 decades that's going to come and be his crew chief and be able to learn from. And for Jimmy Johnson, as Jacob just said, change is not a bad thing. This is going to be a good thing for him. This is going to be a reset button for Jimmy Johnson, and I think it's coming at the right time, because I think Chevrolet as a whole, not just Hendrick Motorsports, is on the uptick. And I think that all of this is going to come to head, and we could be talking about Jimmy Johnson winning races and being in a contention for a championship next season.
Well, I agree with most of what you just said. I think the benefit is equal. I agree that William Byron will benefit greatly from Chad Knaus's knowledge. As long as Chad goes into this understanding that William is almost completely green, and he needs to basically make sure that he's coaching William at William's level and then coaching him up, I think this pairing will expedite Byron's learning curve very seriously. With that said, Kevin Meendering knows what he's doing. I think Kevin's a great addition and a great fit to come over and work with Jimmy Johnson. And keep in mind, Johnson's career is shorter than it is longer. In other words, he might be around 2 more years, maybe 3 more years. I don't see him pushing it much past that. So Meendering will learn with veteran Johnson to be a crew chief at the top level, and then he'll get the next William Byron, whoever that's going to be, to sort of carry himself into the future. I think this is a great move, Jacob, for all concerned.
You think?
Yes.
That's an understatement. I love this. Thank God for Rick Hendrick's Milk and Cookies saying, hey, we need to do something different. Milk and cookies are better than tea leaves. Let's just lay that out there. They taste way better, for starters.
Well, of course. You ever try to eat a tea leaf?
No, and I don't want to.
Move on.
But I know about tea. Anyway, I'm not a fan of that either. Yeah, this is great. This is really, really great. Kevin Meendering is a very, very smart mind.
Yes.
I should know. He ends up at Millbridge Speedway a bunch, and I've gotten the opportunity to pick his brain a little bit and just kind of see how he works on the dirt cars. And I've watched him take Elliott Sadler to the playoffs and to the Final Four each of the last 2 years. He's not dumb. He knows how to thrive under pressure. He knows how to get veteran drivers where they need to be. This is great for Jimmy. And Lord knows, Chad Knaus has a wealth of knowledge that William Byron could only dream of. Anybody that doesn't think that marriage isn't going to end up really, really good doesn't know what's coming for him. That and the fact that Chad Knaus is just, in his own words, Cisco, geeked to be able to work on the 24 car. He wanted to do it with Jeff Gordon years ago, didn't get the opportunity, but now it comes full circle. And when Chad Knaus first came to that 24 team, there was a 21-year-old Jeff Gordon. Now he finally gets to crew chief it, and there's a 21-year-old, soon-to-be 21-year-old William Byron.
Yeah, no, this is Chad's almost kind of backyard project for the next couple of years, because he's got it's a completely blank slate. He's got a brand new set of tools, brand new project laid out for him. He's going to have to reorganize the garage and make sure all the tools are in the right place, and make sure that he doesn't have to go to Lowe's later or something like that and get an extra
Hope you're
ladder
speaking
because it turned out there wasn't a
figuratively
ladder in the parts truck or something like that. But either way, I mean, it's like that feeling you get when you start on a new project, like when you're working on something at your house. You know, he has this whole kind of thing to reorganize and rebuild because William really hasn't had that yet. He hasn't, had the whole plan laid out. At least from my feeling, they're just trying to make this season work. I don't see a lot of building for the future, and I think Chad is going to be able to bring a lot of that to this team.
Well, I don't see that at all. I don't see that Darian Grubb didn't do a good job or that, there wasn't. I think, honestly, what Chad brings is obviously 7 championships and, a very different approach to this. And I think it's like the difference between someone who's very accomplished and knows what they're talking about and a Harvard professor. I think Chad is going to bring a whole other level of experience, having built Jimmy Johnson from nothing to 7 NASCAR championships. William Byron is farther along in my book than Jimmy Johnson was when he started. So I don't think this is a case of, going back and starting over. William Byron's had a year of experience.
I disagree with the William Byron being better than Jimmy Johnson comparison because Johnson won 3 races in his rookie year. So,
but if you look at where he was when he came in, and you look at the difference in the situations, Johnson did not run well in the Xfinity Series. Byron's had championships coming up, and he was ready to come into Cup. He came into a bad situation because Chevy as a whole and Hendrick Motorsports in particular were terrible at the beginning of the year. So William came in a very unsettled situation at Hendrick. I don't believe that you can say that about when Jimmy Johnson came in. They were on top of the world when he came into Cup. So I think it's a whole different situation, and I think William Byron progresses more quickly than everybody thinks. I don't know that he's going to run for a championship next year, but I bet you that he will be a playoff contender, if not a playoff car next year. And I think Jimmy Johnson will run better as well because, again, the whole program is starting to come back now, as is Chevy. So we'll see what happens in 19. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, it's time to talk modifieds. Matt Swanson going to join us on the Stock Car Show, presented by HMS Motorsport and Helmet Benefits. We shall return.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the Track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the Track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
Every 30 minutes, another innocent person is killed due to a drunk driver.
My best friend. My brother. My poor grandchild.
My sister.
My father. My husband. My mom. My mommy.
Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you.
Stop these tragedies before they happen. Don't drink and drive.
The Performance Motorsports Network is a compilation of shows about motorsports. From technical to controversial to just fun, everything you like about racing and gearhead stuff is right here on one internet channel. The Performance Motorsports Network. Tell your friends about it.
Hi, I'm Reed Sorensen. Racing has been a part of me and my family for as long as I can remember. I had to make tough choices early on to get to the top. It took hard work and dedication. But it's those tough choices that help me prepare for challenges I would face as a Cup driver. Make the right choices today and be ready for the challenges tomorrow. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
Hi, I'm Timmy Salamito, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network. Now back to the show.
Welcome back to the show. Jacob now doing the head bobbing here as we get started with hour number 2. And
we had a modified guy get ready to introduce another modified guy.
Yeah, welcome to Brian Fay and to the chat. We appreciate that. As we come back now and more of the Stock Car Show presented by HMS Motorsport and Telmed Benefits. We'll tell you about Telmed here in just a bit. Right now, we welcome Matt Swanson to the program. I'm really excited to have Matt on for 2 reasons. Number one, I think Matt is one of the rising stars of the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour. And number 2, because he's driving Old Blue, the Bowler number 3, and that is a car that I remember watching Freddie DeSaro race in the 70s when I was growing up, and so many talented drivers have sat in that car. I was so excited, Matt, to see you get the opportunity during this season to jump behind the wheel of that particular car, and happy to see that it turned out well for you at Thompson this weekend. First of all, welcome to the program, and talk a little bit about the World Series of Stock Car Racing at Thompson, or World Series of Racing, I guess. You actually had a good run in two different classes over the weekend.
Yeah, it was a good weekend. We started off on Friday, and Saturday we were running for Gary Casella and his Roscoe Racing number 25 in the Valenti Modified Racing Series. And we were fastest in practice, and when it came down to the race, we started 8th, and we were just kind of riding around until 15 to go, and we ended up 3rd. Car was really fast. I had never driven the car before. I had never even sat in it until that weekend. So all in all, to come out of the gate that fast and finish 3rd, I mean, you can't really complain with that. All Gary's guys put in 100% effort and gave me a really good piece coming race time, and it showed, and our team car actually won the race. So all in all, great weekend for the Casella team. And then we moved on to the Wheel Modified Tour car with the Old Blue, and just worked on our race car all day on Saturday. 7th in practice, and qualified 15th, which was a little upsetting. You know, we had a good car in practice, and we were kind of had a little bit higher expectations come race time, but 150 laps is a long time, and we had a lot of time to work on our race car, and by the end of the race we got it a lot better and was able to come out with a 7th place finish. So all in all, a really good World Series, and it's just making me that more excited and that more amped up to get back in the seat in 2019.
Well, and there's a really great piece of news that I know was actually kind of leaked out over the weekend, that you will be back in the 3 car in 19. Can you talk about how that all came together for you to begin with? Because I think a lot of people, really including myself, kind of looked and raised an eyebrow when we found out that you had gotten the nod to get into that car. Not any disrespect meant, but just, that car has kind of always been a car that you see, veterans driving, and it was interesting that they put you in the car, and like I said, I was excited to see you get the shot. But how did that come together, and what was your reaction the first conversation that you had about being able to drive that car? Had to be surprised.
I mean, I was as surprised as everyone else, I think, to get that phone call. It was actually the night before the Bud King of Beers 150 at Thompson Speedway. Rowan's baby was on the way, and his girlfriend went into labor that night.
Boy.
the baby was actually born at 4 in the morning, the day of the race. So he decided to stay home, and The 3 guys gave me the call the night before, just as I was actually loading my family car to get ready to go to the racetrack. So I went down to the 3 shop that morning, just sat in the car, made sure I fit, made sure no major adjustments had to be made so I could be safe in the car. And we went to the racetrack and unloaded fast off the truck. And all in all, we qualified 7th. And the day, everything basically went our way. It was just a great day all in all. Like I said, we qualified 7th, and we were riding in the top 5 all night during the race, and came along strong at the end. Finished short second to Justin Bonsignor. But I mean, Justin had a stellar season all year, 8 victories and a championship, and to finish second to a guy like him, it just felt really good. And to be able to finish second my first race in the 3 car, not knowing that it would lead to many more like it did, was that much more special. So, and then Bristol came around, and Rowan actually got back in the seat to go to Bristol. And Rowan had been having trouble with his back. He actually had 2 herniated discs in his back. So after Bristol, his back started to hurt him again, and he made the wise decision, I mean, for his health, to retire from modified competition, which I think kind of threw the whole racing community for a curve. I think everyone was surprised to see Rowan retire, and it was really unfortunate to see someone so talented in modifieds retire at such a young age. But he made the smart decision, health-wise, to step away from racing, and the team called me to fill in for the rest of the season, and that was just as exciting and surprising to me as getting called to go to Thompson with them, just because it's the 3 car. It's such a famous modified all around the country that only so many people get to add their name to the list of drivers for that car, and to be able to add mine, it's just really special. So I'm really excited for what's to come in 2019, and hopefully we can get that 3 car back in victory lane.
Did you have any expectation once you knew you were in the car for the rest of this season, Matt? At that point, was there any expectation of, okay, I need to go out and perform, and maybe 19 is possible? Or when you got the call, was there even a consideration of that at that point?
Honestly, I mean, my biggest concern was getting those guys the finishes they deserved, and I know how fast that car is. Everyone knows how fast that car is. The 3 guys put their heart and soul into that car. Not many people know, but that car and a majority of the parts on that car are home built. They're all built in Freetown, Mass.
Wow.
So the chassis are home built. Basically everything on that car that doesn't have to be manufactured is home built. Most of the suspension components, everything is home built on that car. So those guys like to see their race car go fast, and just because that car is a majority of their lives, they pour their heart and soul into that thing. And I knew I had to give them the finishes they deserved and what they expected. And we had a tough patch the end of the season there. We had 3 races we unfortunately didn't finish, but we started off strong, and then we went to Oswego and we finished 6th, and we finished 7th at the World Series. So like I said, I'm just really excited for what's to come in 2019. That car is very well capable of winning and possibly winning a championship. So I'm just really looking forward to next year, and hopefully I can get my first wheel modified tour winning the famous old blue number 3.
Well, there's certainly a list of drivers that have done that. And I know, as you reference, I know you're excited about 2019, but you reference being able to chase a championship. And that particularly has got to be pretty exciting, too, considering that you had to take a step back this year from a funding standpoint and not run full-time after running full-time the 2 years prior.
Yeah, definitely. I came into this season only expecting to run 10 of the tour races. And to be honest, it was a little upsetting not being able to do it, but we had brought everything home back to our shop in Acton, Massachusetts, and we were going to run it as a full family operation. And we thought it would be smart just to bring everything home and use this as a rebuild season for the family team and make sure if we were ever to go back as a family team full time, that we were 100% prepared to do it. And that was kind of the reasoning behind stepping back and making sure everything was ready and prepared to go to the racetrack every week. And when I got the call for the 3-car, it started off as just I was going to do that one race at Thompson, and then it turned into running the rest of the season when Rowan decided to retire. And then now it's turning into I'm back on the tour full time for a championship contending team. So it's very exciting. It's nice going into the off season knowing that I have a home for next year, and knowing that I have guys on that there's guys on that 3-car and all the partners with the 3-car that are prepared to go try and win races and try and win a championship. So it's really exciting.
All right, so I do want to ask this. I know we definitely have a couple more questions for you in the next segment too, but Starrett obviously has been huge for your career and been such a big supporter the last couple years with the family car. Are they coming with you and going to be a part of the program with the 3-car next year?
Unfortunately, no, they will not be. They decided to step away from motorsports following the 2018 season. So they will not be with us next year, but I just really can't thank them for all they've done for me and my family, and making sure the family-owned 89 went to the racetrack every week these last 2 years, and all the support they gave us at the racetrack and away from the racetrack. They're a one-of-a-kind company that they knew what it took for us to get to the cars to the racetrack every week, and they knew how much time and how much money and everything got put into the race cars, and they were behind us 100% these last 2 years. And you never want to close doors with partners like Starrett just because they are such an awesome company that loves racing and loves to be involved in it. So it's unfortunate that they won't be with us next year, but all the people that go to the racetrack from Starrett, we'll still see them at the racetrack, and we made more than friends with those people from Starrett. They were almost like a second family to me. So excited for next year, and like I said, we're just looking forward to what's to come.
Well, we certainly look forward to that too. We're going to ask you to hang on, if you would, Matt, through our break here. When we come back, we'll pick it up and talk some more with you here on the Stock Car Show, presented by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsport safety and Telmed benefits. We'll tell you about Telmed on the other side of the break, and then pick things up with more Matt Swanson as we talk modifieds. We'll be right back.
How to be a great dad in 15 seconds. Bike ride, go fish, walk in the park, phone call, milkshake, play catch, picnic, fly a kite, tell jokes, laugh, talk, read a story, tell a story, bumper cars, swing set, bowling, pillow fight, cut loose, stay tight. Whew. Because the smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Automotive technicians and auto service trainees, how would you like to work at the beach and perform for one of the best car care centers in the nation? Louis Meineke is now looking for skilled automotive technicians to join their award-winning team. If you're a gearhead that knows his or her stuff, or a young up-and-comer that has the motivation and drive to succeed, then you need to make this call today. 302-827-2054. Louis Meineke Car Care Center, located in beautiful Lewis, Delaware, offers a highly competitive compensation plan, great benefits, a flexible schedule, and did we mention that you're going to be working at the beach? Plus, there's a signing bonus for the right candidates. Technicians must be ASE certified and have a minimum of 6 years experience. Beginners advance at your own pace in one of several entry-level positions. But whatever you do, don't wait. These jobs will go fast. Call Tim at 302-827-2054. That's 302-827-2054. Louis Meineke Car Care Center. Rev up your career.
You hear that? That's the sound of America's only sports car. That's right. It's a Corvette. But not just any Corvette. It's your Corvette. It's that who cares if there's traffic part of your day. And this can be you when you come to Cooper Corvettes. With 60 years of Corvettes to choose from, there's always a Corvette in your budget. And they'll service any Corvette you bring in. Cooper Corvettes on Route 1 just north of Quantico and Triangle. Call, click, or visit CooperCorvettes.com.
How to deal with someone who says that's so gay. Outsmart them.
This party is like so gay.
Totally.
Excuse me, but did you ladies know the word gay used to mean happy or excited? Then it became a word used to describe gay people. Then somehow it came to mean dumb or stupid, which is how you just used it, which is not very nice.
Ew, that guy is on the football team and super smart, and he totally hates us now.
Totally.
When you say that's so gay, do you realize what you say? Knock it off. Learn more at thinkbeforeyouspeak.com.
Hi, I'm Dylan Bassett, and you're listening to Race Talk on Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
Sparkplug bringing us back as we continue with the Stock Car Show here on Performance Motorsports Network on Spreaker and also live on our Race Chaser Media Facebook page. And hey, healthcare ought to be simple, fast, and uncomplicated, right? Well, check this out. So if you have a sore throat, like I do right now, as a matter of fact, TelMed Benefits makes it easy to visit a doctor online in minutes without ever leaving your home, your job, or wherever you are. I used it last year when I had the flu. Simply got online. I visited with a doctor, and he called in a prescription for me to the local pharmacy. I didn't even have to leave the office. Went and picked up the prescription, and it saves you from having to go to the ER, having to go to a, some sort of fast care, urgent care, or even try to squeeze in a visit to your family doctor. And there's no per visit fee. It's $19.95 a month. It covers up to 5 people in your household. It works with or without insurance. So there's no reason not to take advantage of the opportunity. Telemedicine is new and it is growing like crazy. TelMedBenefits.com is the website. TelMedBenefits.com. Just go to the site and sign up for it again. Just $19.95 per month. And when they ask for your discount code, type in TOM. That's me, T-O-M, TOM. And you'll get a free pharmacy discount card just for visiting the site. Hey, that's worth it. We're back with Matt Swanson as we continue to chat with him from the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Jacob, I'm going to turn it right back over to you because I know you had a couple more questions first.
Well, I appreciate that. I thought you were going to use my word of the day, which was defer back to me. But
defer?
Hey,
okay.
Defer.
I'll defer too. Back to you.
Okay, that works.
Go ahead.
So we were talking with Matt before the break, and I actually had asked about Starrett, and that was kind of a shock to hear from Matt that they're going to be stepping away from the sport following this year, and obviously a lot of memories there. But Matt, I know you're looking forward to creating a lot of new memories with the Bowler team. I mean, when you stop and think about the history, I know that you know the history of this team and what they've been through over the last 6+ decades now. What does it mean to you? I mean, what are the emotions behind the fact, hey, I get to run a full season for these guys next year, and you get to build your own chapter in one of the most famous cars on the tour?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you pretty much summed it up good there. It really amazes me when I look back and think when I was running quarter midgets and I'd go watch Whelen Modified Tour races, the 3 cars up front. Teddy Christopher drove it.
Oh, yes.
At that time. And I've seen that car go around the racetrack so many times. And I would have never thought 10 years ago when I was racing quarter midgets that one day I'd be driving that car and my name would be on the roof and I'd get to work with one of the most famous teams on the Whelen Modified Tour. And not only that, but get to run a full season for them and try and win races for them. It just makes me that much more excited going into next year. I'm sure I'm going to get more excited as the time comes and as it really sinks in that I'm driving that car full-time next year, that I'm driving for such a famous team. So just really excited for next year.
And oh, by the way, for those who are listening who may not be fans of the tour specifically, you're still a teenager, Matt. I mean, did you anticipate that at 18, 19 next year when we get around to it, that you would be in a position like this to truly challenge for a championship?
No, honestly, I didn't. And it's kind of crazy to go to the racetrack now and talk to all the people I've met since I started running the tour when I was 15 that I would be where I am at such a young age. And just to look back at the history of the tour, no one really ever started as young as I did. So it's kind of crazy to look back and look at all the relationships that I have earned over the years of running the tour. And it's kind of crazy to think that I'm going into my 5th year on the tour. It's really amazing to me that everything's happened so quick and it's gone by so fast. But I look forward to meeting more people and trying to create more partnerships. And like you said, going for wins and possibly a championship with the 3-car.
Now, I'm curious about this because communication is obviously such a big part of what it takes to be successful in racing, and it seemed like you and crew chief Greg Fournier really clicked on all cylinders pretty quickly when you got behind the wheel of the 3-car. Talk about working with him a little bit, and I would have to anticipate that we're going to see Greg back with you for next year, at least from what I've heard.
Yeah, well, we're going to keep Greg around for a couple more years. He is actually related to the Bowler family, so he's been around the 3-car for many, many years. He's been going with the 3-car to the racetrack since he was a teenager. So he's been around for a while. And like I said, it's a big group effort over there. There's a lot of guys over there that have been around racing for so long that they can throw ideas in the pot when we're trying to think of ideas, how to make the car better. And it's not just Greg and I that make that car faster. It's Greg, John McKenna, Scott Richards, just to name a few that are a big piece of the puzzle over there when it comes to making that 3-car as fast as it is. And, I didn't think we'd come out of the box as strong as we did. I know they were going to give me a great race car when we unloaded at Thompson there that day, but to go out and finish second like we did and charge back through the field like we did halfway through that race, you don't really see that much anymore. You normally have to see people gel with their crew chiefs and their team before they start clicking off finishes like that. So to come out of the gate like we did, it just shows how much stronger we can be now that we've worked together a couple races. So that also adds to the list of just how excited I think we all are to go into the 2019 season next year.
So for a soon-to-be 19-year-old kid once the new season kicks off, is this your dream opportunity?
Honestly, yes, it is. Just because I've never really had the opportunity to drive for a team besides my family before, full-time on such a high level like the Wheel and Modified Tour is. So at such a young age to be able to get the opportunity to drive for one of the most famous teams, if not the most famous team on the Wheel and Modified Tour, it really is a dream come true. Of course, I'd like to try and climb the ladder and make my way up through the ranks in NASCAR. But for being at such a young age, going into the 2019 season at 19 years old, it really is a dream come true, and I never really thought it would have happened this soon. But I'm not going to try and not let that get the best of me, and I'm going to go into every race knowing that I have an opportunity to win and go for it every week.
Well, we certainly look forward to going forward with you into 2019 and seeing what you do with that car with a full season. You guys seem to be able to adapt to each other pretty quickly this year, and you had some very impressive performances out of the box. I think in some cases the results not really showing the true caliber of the performance that you gave in a particular race. So you're really doing a great job, Matt, and we're really excited for you. The tour needs young faces like yourself, and really happy to see you get this opportunity. Who helps you make all this happen, and what are you looking forward to most about the off season in terms of your preparation as we go into, I guess it's fair to say, into the fall and winter?
Yeah, I mean, off-season wise, I'm just looking forward to being at the shop with the three guys and seeing what they do over the off-season. Like I said earlier in the show, everything on that car is home built. So off-season wise, I think it's going to be a pretty busy one, just because we're going to be building back inventory of parts and getting the chassis stripped and making sure they're straight and ready to go into next season. And people I'm going to start off thanking my family for making the opportunities so I could be in this position and being there for me and helping me do what I do and making it so I could be in the Wheel Modified Tour at such a young age. And then their support these last couple of years, like I said, they're not going to be back next year, but I can't thank them enough and all their employees for all they've done for me these last 2 years. And then the three guys, Scotty Richards, Greg Fournier, John McKenna, and everyone else that works on that car for all the effort they put in the end of the season here with me, and all their partners, Cape Cod Copper, Utility Service, New England, everyone that works on that car, Big Wheel, Truck Sales, all their partners, and the whole Bowler family, Michael and Mrs. Bowler. It's almost like I'm going to another family team just because the three team is one big family.
Absolutely. Yep.
It's just really exciting to go into next year and being able to drive one of the best cars on the series, and just really looking forward to it. So I can't thank all of them enough, and believing an 18-year-old kid to drive their car and going into next season and try and win some races. So just everyone that's helped me throughout the years to be where I am and get me to the point where I am in my racing career, and doing it at such a young age. You don't see many people believe in young kids and give young kids opportunities like this anymore. And just really excited that I'm the one that gets to drive the 3-car next year, and hopefully we can make the best of it. So, like I said, just really excited and really looking forward to next season.
Okay, in about 20 seconds, where can fans follow you through the off-season into next season as far as your social media website and such?
Fans can follow me on my Facebook at Matthew Swanson or Matthew Swanson Racing. I have a website, MatthewSwansonRacing.com, and my Twitter handle is MSwanson89. So fans can always reach out to me, and also just thought of it, my Instagram handle, Matt.Swanson89. We always answer direct messages, and if fans have any questions or want to get T-shirts or anything from us, I'm pretty quick on social media. So if anyone wants to reach out to me, more than welcome to. Just shoot us a follow or a friend request, and we'll get back to you.
Great job, Matt. We've had fun having you on tonight. We look forward to doing it again as the season starts to get close in 2019. Happy holidays to you and your family, and thanks for taking some time to come on. That is Matt Swanson. We will be back with more of the Stock Car Show presented by HMS Motorsport and Telmed Benefits right after this. We're talking dirt when we come back.
Parents, your son or daughter has had their license for a while now, but you want to make sure they're prepared for any situation they may face on the road. High school driver's ed doesn't teach them to drive defensively. They need to be prepared for any highway emergency. For less than a month's insurance, and a whole lot less, BSR instructors at Summit Point Motorsports Park in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, will teach your son or daughter how to respond instantly and positively to unexpected situations on the road. BSR's specialized accident avoidance training teaches swerve to avoid maneuvers at highway speed, ocular driving, which focuses driving attention on ways to avoid accidents, vehicle dynamics and feedback, skid control and skid recovery, threshold braking on straights and progressive braking on curves, and off-road recovery techniques. This is stuff driver's ed simply doesn't teach. So call BSR today, 304-725-8444. Give your kid the skill set needed to drive safely and responsibly on the highway. That's 304-725-8444.
You hear that? That's the sound of America's only sports car. That's right. It's a Corvette. But not just any Corvette. It's your Corvette. It's that who cares if there's traffic part of your day. And this can be you when you come to Cooper Corvettes. With 60 years of Corvettes to choose from, there's always a Corvette in your budget. And they'll service any Corvette you bring in. Cooper Corvettes on Route 1 just north of Quantico and Triangle. Call, click, or visit CooperCorvettes.com.
HMS Motorsport is the leader in motorsport safety. HMS serves the majority of Monster Energy NASCAR Cup, Xfinity, Camping World Truck, IndyCar, and IMSA WeatherTech teams, as well as countless SCCA and club-level racers and driving enthusiasts throughout North America. Featuring world-renowned brands like Schuberth helmets, Schroep belts, Adidas suits and shoes, Lifeline fire systems, and even Racecom radio kits, HMS has the right product for your type of racing and your budget. Their representatives are experts on only one thing, making your track driving as safe as possible. With locations in Mooresville, North Carolina, and Danvers, Massachusetts, the HMS staff is always ready to take the time to help you find the right product for your safety needs. Don't settle for second when it comes to motorsport safety. Stop in to HMS Motorsport. Visit them on their website at hmsmotorsport.com or send them a message on Facebook and tell them the folks from PMN Radio sent you.
Hi, this is John Ondrasik of Five for Fighting, here for RAD, the entertainment industry's voice for road safety. You know, style is a personal thing, and your lifestyle is your business. But if you take it on the road, it becomes everybody's business. So please, plan ahead, designate before you celebrate. Friends, don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service announcement brought to you by RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Harrison Rhodes, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Show as we begin to talk dirt, and more specifically, Super Dirt Week at the Oswego Speedway, my home track
a little
for
over a week ago.
Many years, yes, but we have Steve on now.
We rescued Steve.
Yes, Steve is back with us, Steve Ovens. I should introduce us once again. My name is Tom Baker. Jacob Seelman is next to me here inside the main studio in Race City, USA in Mooresville. Over across from us behind the glass of the tech shed is none other than Randy Miller. And we've got Cisco Scaramouza via the Race Chaser Skype line. And, of course, Steve Ovens from up in New York at Casa de Pork Chop Studios. And, Steve, Super Dirt Week was wet. Super Dirt Week was wild. And Super Dirt Week was wow.
I think we left awesome out of there.
That was kind of wow.
I feel like this is probably, when you look at all of the races across the board, Tom, this was the best racing Super Dirt Week we've ever had.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
I mean, there's just, the track was absolutely perfect. They had some wet weather early in the week, and it didn't allow them to get race cars on the racetrack. And that move right there, Tom, not allowing the cars on the track when they had gotten so much moisture, that was the difference. Not allowing the cars out there to tear the racetrack up when it was wet, when it could have been tore up. That was the difference, and that was why we saw such incredible racing on Saturday and Sunday. I mean, from the Pro Stock race to the Sportsman race, the small block, they were all great races. And finally, Tom, Super Dirt Week has a home that not only can provide a similar atmosphere for the fans that like to go and camp and enjoy themselves during the week, but can also put on some absolutely just outstanding racing. They got everything. They checked all the boxes at Super Dirt Week.
A freaking men brother. I love this. Wasn't it the Pro Stock race that had a last lap bump and run? Do I have that right?
Yeah, and the Sportsman race came down to the last lap as well. But yes, the Pro Stock race was a bump and run, and it was a perfect bump and run.
That would have made Dale Earnhardt proud.
Textbook.
Yeah, I mean,
textbook.
It was actually, it's kind of funny now to think about just how perfect a move. When you start at the top of turn 3 and just come down the racetrack at the perfect moment to just barely get your nose underneath the leader's bumper, just enough to get him out of the way so that you've got the better run in a drag race to the line.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you couldn't have scripted that any better.
No.
That was a fantastic finish. And, you know, the Sportsman race was incredible as well. Shane Pecor picked up his first win at Super Dirt Week. The man that is just done just about everything you can do in the Sportsman cars, runs in the U.S., runs in Canada, he had tears in his eyes. You could tell just how much it means to the matter of fact, he got on the ground and kissed the dirt. He was so happy. I mean, that's what it means for these guys, you know, especially when you talk about pro stocks and Sportsman guys, Jacob. The real weekend warriors of dirt will say it means a bunch for these guys to win a race at Super Dirt Week.
That's their Daytona 500, plain and simple. And I loved it for the lower classes. Now, let's get into the big stuff here for a minute, Steve, because the 150, the small block race, or the 358 races, as you guys know it up there, was spectacular on Saturday. And I felt like felt like we were having deja vu in reverse at the end of that race on Saturday, because
Is
Batman.
that like Vujade?
Vujade, yeah, that works.
Okay,
we can go with Vujade. Batman Peter Britton did everything right. He took every lesson that Superman Matt Shepard used to get the win a year ago in the 200 and said, yeah, I think I'll do the same thing to you. Bye.
Yeah, and it was a very appropriate finish on Saturday because you had the Batman going against Mr. Freeze, and Batman came out on top. Marvel couldn't have scripted that one any better.
No, they really couldn't have, and it was Stuart Friesen in the closing laps. I was just referencing the fact that it was Matt Shepard that did to Peter Britton a year ago what Peter Britton did to Stuart Friesen on Saturday.
There's no doubt. And Sunday morning, I watched an interview that Britton held on Sunday morning talking about the finish from Saturday. And he said, look, you know, we understood from the big block race in 2017 exactly what we needed to do. And it didn't matter if it was small block or big block race. They knew what they needed to do. They took the tire at the perfect time, charged up through the field. And at the end of the race, you know, it wasn't that Friesen did anything wrong strategy-wise. I mean, he was leading the race with 5 to go, but the guy that took the tire and was able to get on the outside and pass, you know, cars all the way up to challenge for the lead, I mean, it was a great race. I mean, it was strategy, but it was also getting up on the wheel for Peter Britton.
And what a job he did driving through that field. I mean, it was as if he had like a slot car. It would just, no matter where he put it, it just stuck. That was so much fun watching, you know, you had 2 wide, 3 wide racing at times. I mean, you know, definitely the best I've seen at Oswego during Super Dirt Week yet. And as you said, I think it establishes the fact that Oswego is the right place for Super Dirt Week for a while to come yet, Jacob.
Yes, it does. And
Jacob, let's not forget, too, that win just as huge for Peter Britton as it was
hoping
for
you were
going to
mention that.
That
was
huge.
Oh, yeah. That, as far as I'm concerned, that's the signature win of Peter Britton's dirt career for me. Even though it was in the 358, it wasn't with the Super Dirt Car Series. That, to me, so far was the signature win of Peter Britton's career in the U.S. And in that same vein, on Sunday, Lightning Larry White gets his crown jewel at long last. For all the crap I've given him and for all the grumbling I've done for the way certain things that the White family has done the last couple of years, I give the boy credit. He drove the 200 to perfection Sunday afternoon. That was not just a win. That was an absolutely dominant performance.
It really was. There were so many storylines to the 200, But for me, the overall storyline is the fact that Larry White finally gets the job done in an extra distance race.
Yes.
I mean, Larry is known here in the Northeast to be the rabbit. He can just drive the absolute crap out of these cars for 30, 35 laps, 40 laps, maybe a 50-lapper. But in the 100-lap races, the 200-lap races, he just hadn't been able to put it all together. He had, if you remember back, he had top 5 finishes at the Syracuse Mile during Super Dirt Week. But they just could never put it all together to be in contention for the win in that last handful of laps when it mattered the most. And they also took advantage of strategy that nearly paid off for HBR and Jimmy Phelps. I felt so bad for Jimmy because those cautions at the end, he did not need those. They tried to go 200 laps on a tank of fuel. And, boys, they came up a few yellow laps and 5 green flag laps short.
Steve, can I be clear? Because I'm sure there are dirt people listening to this race right now, or listening to this show right now, sorry, and going, hang on a minute. You're saying Larry White put on a dominant performance? What about the guy that did try to go 200 laps on a tank of fuel? I personally never believed for a minute that they were actually going to be able to pull it off. And sure enough, they didn't. I didn't feel like on that particular strategy, Steve, that they ever truly had control of that race. Now, people can disagree with me if they want. That's just my opinion. I really didn't feel like from the drop of the green that was the right strategy. It needed a lot more yellow flag help that they never got, and that's one of the things that you always struggle with. And every year you think it's going to be a caution fest, it's not, and every year you think it's not going to be a caution fest, it is. It never plays out like you're expecting it to. I just have never really liked that strategy, honestly, in the Super Dirt Car Series race during Dirt Week. Personally, that's And props.
Well, Jacob, let's put it into perspective. For those guys, the point race wasn't exactly in arm's reach, let's say. And so for those guys, I don't mind the call because you don't know whether you can do it unless you try. And I'm not saying that 2018 is a throwaway season for that team, but what I'm saying is they now know that unless the circumstances fall just right, you're probably not going to be able to do the 200-lapper. And you know what? If you're going to try and do that, why not try and do it from starting from the pole? I'm not going to deny that. I don't know that strategy was in contention for those guys, Jacob, until they set the pole-winning time on Thursday. I'm not sure that was in the cards for them. But the situation played out right for them to try it. It didn't work out, and you know what? Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not sure that they, I think strategy kept them up front all day long because other guys were pitting. They were taking tires. They knew they needed to take fuel. So I agree with you. I think that, yes, they were up front all day, but I don't know that they were necessarily in control.
No.
They just really it worked out for them because of the strategy. But I still, Dirt Car took away the mandatory pit stop. I don't mind that. I think it opened things up for guys like Jimmy to give it a shot. So honestly, guys, one of the best Super Dirt Weeks we've ever had. Oswego has a 2-year extension for Super Dirt Week.
3-year extension, I thought I saw.
Well, it's actually been it initially came out as 2. We're now hearing that it may be 3, Jacob.
Yeah, I think
I
think Syracuse.com reported it as 3.
Yeah, and that was Sunday, the finale of Super Dirt Week. Everybody was kind of going back and forth on that. But for me, regardless if it's 2 or 3 years, guys, the racing we saw this year gives me a lot of hope that Super Dirt Week is only going to go up from here. It's only going to get better. And keep your eyes and ears peeled because the clamor from the fans to bring sprint cars got hotter and heavier after the racing we saw this year at Dirt Week.
We got to take a break. I was going to bring that up. You beat me to that. That's all right. Next segment, we're going to open the lightning round segment talking about that, and I want to make a point about Super Dirt Week in general at Oswego, too. Back with more of the Stock Car Show presented by HMS Motorsport and Tell Me Benefits right after this.
When do you think of a plumber? Like most people, even if it's an emergency, you can be confident about who will arrive to help you. For quality and reliability, count on someone you can trust. Call on the plumbing services of Hague Quality Water of Maryland. Plumbing doesn't have to be an emergency. We handle all kinds of preventative maintenance too. Hague Quality Water of Maryland is family owned here in Annapolis since 1993. For a refreshing choice, call us at 888-84-WATER or visit us online.
Here at Lewis Meineke, we're more than just your average car care center. Hey, it's Dave, your neighbor from Lewis Meineke. Whether you need an oil change, brakes, tires, or anything under the hood, we've got you covered. Take advantage of our free check engine light service as well. Yes, free. And don't forget about our free shuttle service. Never stress, we'll take care of the rest. On with life. Give us a call at Lewis Meineke, 302-827-2054.
Every 30 minutes, another innocent person is killed due to a drunk driver.
My best friend. My brother. My poor grandchild.
My sister.
My father.
My husband.
My mom. My mommy. Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you.
Stop these tragedies before they happen. Don't drink and drive.
Do you love the sound of high-revving motors and the smell of burning rubber? Do you want to get your car sideways right at the ragged edge of control? If you've always wanted to try drifting or learn to improve your drifting skills, Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier motorsports facility, has the expert instructors and the specialized track to teach you how to drift and the skills necessary to drift competitively. From skid pad to open sessions, Summit Point Motorsports Park has the safe and open environment that allows drifters of all skill levels, new to intermediate, to get sideways and smoking. With a focus on safety and the skill set necessary to drift competitively, Summit Point Motorsports Park's Drift Nirvana is just the thing for you. Call for your reservation today, 304-725-8444. Or for more information, go online, summitpoint-raceway.com, or you can email them at office@bsrinc.com. Drift Nirvana, getting you sideways the right way.
If you own a gun, you have a full-time responsibility. When you aren't using it, be sure it can't get into the hands of curious children, troubled teenagers, a thief, or anyone else who might misuse it. Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Matt Tift, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Hey, welcome back. This is our lightning round here on the Stock Car Show, presented by HMS Motorsport and Tell Me Benefits. And we're going to bounce around just a little bit in this final segment, but I want to just pick up where we left off, finishing up some conversation about Super Dirt Week. I want to make a point here that, you know, it wasn't but a few years ago that Steve was hosting the Turn 5 show here on the Performance Motorsports Network, and I was probably the most outspoken critic that anybody had when it came to putting Super Dirt Week at Oswego. I didn't want to see it. I didn't think it was a good idea to throw dirt on the blacktop. Wasn't a fan of it. Thought there were one or two better choices. I actually still think there are one or two tracks that could be better choices or serve up the same kind of racing. But I want to make this point in front of everybody. Again, happy to be eating some crow on that, because here's the deal. All of these people, these purists who just would have rather have seen it keep going on the mile, the Moody Mile, Fairgrounds, Syracuse. Okay, guys, I get it. Tradition's great. But here's the deal. At the end of the day, most of those fans were more about the social aspect of that and the camping and the parties and all of that than they were the racing. Because, frankly, the race itself in the latter years of the final bunch of years, for the most part, it was awful. And now what we've got is we've got a situation where this is a short track race now. You can show up with your Saturday night setup and come out and challenge for a win. And you know what, Steve? I like that about it, because Oswego's a track that they go to one time a year, just like the Moody Mile was, but it's also still a short track, just enough bigger than most of the tracks they race on to make it unique. But it gives many more teams a shot at actually winning this thing, and I think we saw that this year with Larry White, and even with Pete Britton's run in the small block. I think this is a great deal for Dirt Week, and I hope that it goes on for many years at Oswego at this point.
I agree totally, and I think that you saw several drivers who, Tom, didn't even put the quick fill in the car.
Yeah.
They just refueled as they normally would at their Saturday track, and they did that just to prove the point that you can bring a Saturday night short track car, and we saw a lot of guys do it. And I think it was just it was a great event, and we even saw it this year. The Short Track Super Series, their Super Nationals event, has always typically gone up against Super Dirt Week, and I think we saw the fact that Super Dirt Week is at a point now where you can take a Saturday short track car to Super Dirt Week. We saw that impact a little bit. I'm not saying a lot, but we did see that impact a little bit of the numbers that we saw at the Short Track Super Nationals. So, that's something to consider going forward. I think that it just encourages more guys who never would have considered going to Super Dirt Week to be able to do so now.
Okay, now to your next point, Steve, that you made just before the break. Sprint cars on the fast 5/8 of a mile. How much support could we get for a World of Outlaws show at the Big O during Super Dirt Week?
Yeah, you don't have to get any support from the fans. Fans will be all for it. I can tell you that. I think that, here's my opinion. I think it's time to scrap the Fulton Saturday night show from Super Dirt Week. And I say it for this reason. We had 13 modifieds show up for the traditional win in your in race. I think that it's time that we could have a lot of success running the small block race on Saturday, and then the nightcap is the World of Outlaw sprint cars and the modified win in year in. I think it would be a home run. The fans wouldn't have to travel away to see it. The fans have already said they would support it, and that would be an absolute dynamite show. I just think that we're okay. We're at a point now where a change would not be a bad thing.
Well, and I totally agree with that at this point. A lot of people saying the World of Outlaws too fast at Oswego. I don't think that at all. We
ran rolling wheels, didn't we?
Exactly. They run tracks that are close to 5/8, and I think it would be cool as heck to see a World of Outlaws sprint car show during Super Dirt Week. And, man, Saturday night, oh, my goodness gracious. And, look, maybe we can figure out another way to incorporate Fulton into this. But, honestly, the whole idea of Super Dirt Week, it wasn't always about the satellite races. That kind of happened, in the latter couple decades or whatever, where more of the tracks started doing things like that. It's about Super Dirt Week, and I think if we can get the World of Outlaws to agree to come to Oswego, wow. I mean, that it would be incredible to see what kind of speeds they would hit on the fast 5/8 mile.
It's a huge event. The World of Outlaws are the best 410 sprint car drivers in the land. I think that you would not have a hard time. I can't see a loser in that scenario.
No.
I say it's a win-win-win-win.
Well, I suppose Fulton Speedway, but that's another
Well, but Tom, I'll just to throw this out there, their Hurricane 100 race at Brewerton during Super Dirt Week is by far the bigger of those two shows.
Yeah.
I it's not my business. I can't speak for the whites, but to me, I think that, if there's, yes, it's going to lose a show, but I think that that's just something that would have to happen to promote the greater good of not only the sport but Super Dirt Week. If they were losing both of those satellite shows, then I could go along with that. But I think the small block satellite show has really taken on a life of its own there. That's a very, very popular event. And, I think that they would still do okay there.
Truthfully, I always loved the 358s, even on the mile, as well or better than the big blocks, to be honest. That was always a good show. So, not surprised that it's become so big in Oswego. Okay. With that, let's switch gears for a bit. We've got a few minutes left. I want to hit NHRA. Jacob, you were there to cover this past weekend at the ZMAX Dragway. And, again, lots of speed. And I just these people, these drivers at NHRA are such good interviews. We'll run out of time trying to hit highlights here, but do your best and overall the NHRA show from this past weekend.
All right, I got about 5 bullet points that sum up the entire weekend. I can sum up Top Fuel in one of them. Steve Torrence is still the man.
Yes.
End of story. 4 countdown wins in a row to open the playoffs. Nobody's ever done that before. That's ridiculous.
It is.
9
honestly.
wins on the season.
Yeah.
That's something we haven't seen since Tony Schumacher.
Yep.
Steve Torrence doesn't want to be mentioned in the same breath as Tony Schumacher because he doesn't feel like he's worth that. I got news for you, Texas boy. You, sir, right now, best Top Fuel driver of the current era. Period. Bar none.
Wow. Okay.
That Capco team has stomped. All right. Funny car. Ron Capps plus new paint scheme equals winning. Every time Ron Capps rolls out a new paint scheme, he wins.
Seems like it.
He did it again. He's not out of this championship. He is up to third in points now. He's still got a shot. It's going to take some help. But I'll tell you what, Robert Height going out in round 2 was some really big help for both.
How many races do we have left?
2.
Okay. 2 more paint schemes, Robert. Get busy.
You mean Ron?
Ron, sorry.
Yeah.
Not Robert. You said Robert Height.
I did.
Threw me off.
2 more paint schemes, Ron.
Yeah.
Get with Don and get with Napa.
Yeah.
Do it. Go. If Ron Capps can win the last 2 races, I think he still has a shot, but it's going to take some help. All right. Pro Stock. Jason Line, you ruined the Hollywood script. The hometown kid in his last race at ZMAX Dragway is supposed to win until Jason Line said, sorry, dude. And
every party needs a pooper.
How shocking is it that this was Jason Line's first win of the year?
I know. That's what's even more amazing, and that's why it's hard to really have any ill will there. It was great to see him back in victory
lane. And it was
lane.
his 50th win, too,
Yeah.
which is
that's
really
right. Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
48 in Pro Stock,
Yep.
2 in the Sportsman classes for 50 national event wins overall.
Yep.
Great to see for Jason Line.
For
Great
sure.
to see for KB Racing. All right. Pro Stock Motorcycle. 4th different points leader in 4 races. This class is nuts. And Matt Smith.
The drivers are nuts.
Yes, they are. But Matt Smith, the independent on the Elite Motorsports EBR Buell. This guy just wants to race. This guy at one point this year thought he might not be able to finish the season, yet here they are contending for a title. His 2 chief rivals go out early, and he goes to the final round, wins the race. He can thank Angelle Sampey for that, by the way. She's the one that took out both Eddie Krawick and Ellie Tongway.
Yep.
That was the big story. 5th point, basically, Dave Richards took out Tommy Johnson in round 1 for the biggest round win of his career in Funny Car. I loved that. It was a great story, great event, great weekend. Let's do it again in 2019.
Look forward to it. It's going to be fun. And by the way, somebody says, why are you talking NHRA on the Stock Car Show? Because I can. And it was here in Charlotte.
Yes.
And it's fun. Okay. So I think it's time to close it up.
It is time to close it up really fast.
Checker.
Thanks to our partners, both at HMS Motorsport and Telmed Benefits for what they do to make this show possible, as well as Randy Miller behind the glass for punching buttons and keeping us in line. For Tom Baker, Steve Ovens, Cisco Cisco Scaramuza, easy for me to say. I'm Jacob Seelman. Keep it off the wall, folks, and we might just see you at a racetrack somewhere. Have a safe racing weekend. Good night.
You've been listening to the Stock Car Show on the Performance Motorsports Network. Stay tuned to Performance Motorsports Network for more race talk. For the latest motorsports news, visit racechaseronline.com. The Stock Car Show is a copyrighted production of the Performance Motorsports Network. www.performancemotorsportsnetwork.com. A member of the Scorpion Radio Group Incorporated, and may not be rebroadcast, replicated, or saved in any media without the explicit written permission of PMN. Check out our Facebook page or our section on the PMN website. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host, co-host, and guests, and do not necessarily reflect those of the management and ownership of either the Performance Motorsports Network or Scorpion Radio Group Incorporated, the advertisers, or the marketing partners. Be listening again next week when the Stock Car Show returns on Thursday night at 7 Eastern. Until then, stay tuned for more great motorsports programming on the Performance Motorsports Network.